Hey, it's another video. You're back, I'm back, we're on a roll. So, this video is going to be the start of a series, in a way. So, today's film is going to be 2008 Iron Man. So, Iron Man is obviously part of the MCU, so I thought I would do like a Marvel series, but not like every video after this is going to be a Marvel film. I thought I'd just sort of like intersperse it throughout, do it occasionally, but make my own playlist of it on YouTube so it can be a series in that way. So obviously this film has been out for 12 years, so I'm making the bold assumption that everyone has watched it because it's part of the MCU, and therefore have you lived under a rock for 12 years? But I guess if you haven't watched it, spoilers ahead. I don't know what else to tell you. Right, let's get on with it then. Oh yeah, I have notes again. Iron Man. He is the first film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the introduction of Tony Stark. I love him. I heart Tony Stark. So this film came out in 2008. Yeah, cool. So it's been 12 years. Quick maths. So, first of all, the soundtrack for this film is just fantastic. I'm just a fan of the dun, sh, dun, dun, sh, dun, dun, sh, that one. But all of the songs, all the soundtracks are great. I'm also forever a fan of the special effects and the editing of this film, especially for the year it was made, so back in 2008. Fair play, fair play. Although, I will say this, their Photoshop could do some work. Their little flashback in time, and they're using young pictures of RDJ, but it's just oof, oof. So yeah, I love that Tony's character is shown to be a bit of a jackass to begin with, because that gives his whole like character arc and all, and his development actually a decent surface foundation to build on. And I just, you know, we love a bit of, we just love Tony Stark, to be honest, and his whole character arc. It's just fantastic, isn't it? So in terms of, because obviously this film's been around for a while, there are some just generally iconic shots, and one of those is just has to be when he's doing the display for the Jericho missile, and he's just like, and it's all going in the background. That is, when you think of like Tony Stark and Iron Man, that is probably one of the iconic shots that you think of, and it's just brilliant, to be honest. I do love a good explosion. I know that sounds really bad, but when they're so cool in films, obviously not in real life or any of that, but just one of those effects that I do enjoy. So the sequence after the attack, I think, is just like nuts. So like the whole like distortedness and the whole like the mix of like Tony's sounds in the back, like his groaning and his screaming and all that, just obviously it's a really rubbish situation, but that whole like way of it being put together and shown is so cool. And with that, the editing of the like torture bit, like obviously torture is horrific, but the actual editing and how they've like put that together and how they've shown it but not like explicitly is so clever and so cool, and I like really appreciate it. Again, obviously the situation of it, the whole context of that is rubbish, but the actual like presentation and editing and effects of it is cool. Again, Iron Man does not leave out what I look for in a film, and that is a good friendship. Now, in Iron Man, obviously it's a bit, what is the word? Unconventional, but Yinsen, oh my gosh, he is so good to Tony in that cave. so good to him, and I'm just here for that. Like, they are a duo. Right, so the whole premise of Iron Man is that he's obviously kidnapped, so he has to, and his whole like story arc is that he builds the Iron Man suit to escape the cape. But that sneaky plan, that sneak plan blows my mind every time, because it's just so well executed, and I just can't wrap my head around the fact that he's thought that up whilst in a cave in captivity. Like, fair play, he deserves that genius in his Playboy philanthropist genius statement. I also love that they establish, like, how do I word this? So Yinsen says, you're a man who has everything and nothing, and I just think it's really smart and kind of insane how they already plant that entire basis and foundation of Tony's whole character, and that statement is like him until like 20 plus films later, because he gets his family finally, obviously. But now it is, he's someone who has everything, but he's got nothing because he's got no one to live for, I guess. That first suit assembly is honestly nuts. It's so clever as well, because the way they film it is kind of clunky as well, which sort of like reflects the fact that the suit itself is really clunky as well. And that's just so smart. Like, that is Jon Favreau. Galaxy brain is what you have there. I just love it. Like, that's smart. And also, with the whole like suit being built, obviously, you've got their flipping plan of escape, and that plan is nuts. It's brilliant. But then, like, when Yinsen's like, we need more time, I'll get you more time, and Tony going, no, stick to the plan, and then just Yinsen, like, it's heartbreaking, because just the way that Yinsen's like, dying was always part of the plan because my family's dead. I was just like, oh, their little heart to heart, like, and he's like, don't waste your life. It's like, do you know what, Yinsen? You best believe our man Tony Stark does not waste his life. He does not waste it. So my dad really appreciated this bit. So it's when all the lights go out because the suit's about to turn on and everything. Has turned on, I believe, actually. And the bad guys are like running in, ready to fight, but then they're like, ooh, and they're really hesitant. And my dad was like, it's like they're just going, no, you go first. No, you go first. Because nobody wants to go in first, do they? Come on now. The first person always dies. And then, ooh, and then you get badass Iron Man, and he's just giving zero shits. He's out here, he's like, boom, boom, you shoot me, I'm bulletproof, you know? Oh, when he gets outside and he's like, my turn, and then it's just of just fire everywhere. That is nuts. Oh, so good. That whole fight in the fire is actually insane. Like, you've got fire everywhere, you've got flipping explosions, like, you're setting fire to places that have like ammunition. Obviously that's going to explode. And then him like flying up, and then you're like, yes, and then he's like, ah, and falls. Oh. And that wreckage in the sand after he's crashed is another iconic shot. Like, that is where his hero sort of story began, once he'd escaped, and I'm here for it. And also, I love that they use that shot in the Endgame trailer. If you know, you know. So he's back in America, okay? He's been in captivity for 3 months. And he gets into his car to go, and they're like, where first? The hospital? And he's like, no, I want a cheeseburger and a press conference. I mean, those are some questionable priorities, but we can get behind it. Tony Stark wants it, Tony Stark gets it. So, Obadiah Stane. He's slimy, but he's slimy in a way that he's not obviously slimy to begin with. But he is a slimy, slimy man, and I'm not here for it. Just Tony, he's So he's switching out his arc reactor and he's like, oh yeah, Pepper, can you just grab it, you know? And then he's like, yeah, it's just like a game of operation. Way to make a very serious, like, situation smaller than it is. It's not just a game of operation because you could die. We love a man that definitely has his priorities straight. I will forever stand Tony Stark and his robots, okay? And especially in all of the circumstances that include Dummy, the one with the claw. Just, it's fantastic. And it just is brought out more in the video diaries he does of his experiments when he's making this suit. And just the fire extinguisher, just fantastic. And just, it's just the first one, the way he like goes up, body slams the wall, falls down, and then Dummy's just like, shh. That is comedy. When he's finally got like a functioning suit, that first helmet face interface is so sick. It's so iconic. Like, obviously it becomes like a staple thing for Iron Man to have, but that first time is so cool. Like, we love to see it. And then the following flight afterwards is just so iconic. Like, we love to see it. He's out here making history, living his best life. Just brilliant. At the end of that flight though, and him crashing through his whole house, like just the various layers of him crashing, and then ending, of course, in the car and Dummy just fire extinguisher again. Brilliant. Honestly, fantastic. Again, simple humour. That proof that Tony Stark has a heart case and just souvenir will forever break my heart, okay? I almost cried at that bit watching it again. I'm not going to get into that right now because that's for another day, but just know it breaks me. Every suit up for the rest of forever is a work of art in and of itself. Just every single one is different, but they're just so slick, and it's so I can't even put it into words. I just love every single suit up that ever happens for the rest of the MCU. Just is perfection. When Tony's just like, do you know what? He's found out his company's double dealing. He's like, screw that. We're gonna make things right. And then he flies to Golmira and he gives zero shits while he kicks ass. Is so sick. And him causing an explosion, and the explosions happen there, and he's just walking. Iconic. We love to see it. So, I found that Obadiah Stane is actually quite terrifying. Like, to start with, he's a bit like, you're a bit like, oh, okay, he's concerned. But then you're just like, flipping heck. He is just like, he takes zero prisoners. He is terrifying. And the bombshell of him being the one that's like orchestrated Tony's kidnapping. The first time I watched Iron Man, I beg your pardon, you are meant to be protecting him. Not good, not good. And then the scene between Obi and Tony where Obadiah has paralysed Tony and he's taken the arc reactor out. I've read a lot of things about that on Twitter that I definitely agree with, but I shan't get into that right now. But that scene really gets me. But also, has anyone else ever like sort of noticed the similarities between Obadiah Stane's face and Thanos's? Because when I first saw like Thanos, I was like, he looks like someone we've already seen before. That might just be me. Who knows? Tell me what you think. Again, I very much love Dummy because he is the bot that we didn't know we needed in our lives. And like, when he helps Tony, when Tony's trying to like crawl to get his arc reactor, spare one, and he helps, I was just like, oh, we love him. That fight between Tony and Stane in their suits is honestly pure chaos. Like, the actual destruction going on is insane, but it's so sick. Like, that whole fight, I was just like on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Just the car damages, the explosions, the music, the everything. You're just like, okay. When Pepper overloads the arc reactor and it goes into the air, that shot is just stunning. And then at the end, when you're like, is Tony alive? Like, what's going on? But also, that actually shows that Tony Stark was ready to sacrifice himself from the get-go. Like, he didn't just like grow into that over 22 films. It was there from the start, and that's nuts. All throughout the film, I love the little like SHIELD cameos and Agent Coulson, and the way Agent Coulson and Pepper sort of like team up at the end. But I just love that they're like, yeah, that's a little egg for you for later use. And then, oh my god, the iconic. The truth is, I am Iron Man. Who knew that line would go on to break people's hearts? But art, that line is a work of art in itself. Like, you don't need the rest of the film, you just need that line, to be honest. So, that's been my thoughts, feelings, vibes, everything about the 2008 film Iron Man. So, as usual, you know, tell me what you think. Have you got any thoughts about Iron Man? Have you ever watched Iron Man? I'm assuming you have, but, you know, you may not have. So, the ratings. That's what we're all really here for, isn't it? So, as a Tony Stark stan, Iron Man gets, it's the vibe, because it is the vibe. It's the start of the MCU. It's up there, do you know? It's a special film. In addition to that, it owns my soul, because, you know, Tony Stark owns my soul. Why not? Let's just put it out there now. But it also gets just wow, because I do love a good special effect. And my heart, because my heart, you know? So if you liked that, as always, you know, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Gotta make sure I get them in the background. Okay. Thoughts, feelings. I might try something else again. Oh well. Thoughts, feelings. No, not my.